They say that if you have a couple friends that you can depend on over the course of your lifetime, that you are a very, very fortunate and lucky person. And if that's the case, I would consider myself one of the more fortunate and lucky people on the planet because have had and still have to this day a number of very, very good friends who I have met throughout the course of my lifetime. And it does not matter how much time you spend away from people like that. It's when you get together again, it's like you never miss a beat and you pick up right where you left off, be it 1, 5, 10, or 20 plus years later. And my guest today, for me, he is one of those people in that I just love this guy. We hit it off more or less one of the first times we met, as he does with most everybody that he becomes friends with because he is such a great guy. And 20 years ago, we met playing what was then the DP Tour, and it was one of the best summers that a large group of us maybe have ever had, in that we were all playing professional golf. It was the minor leagues, the mini tours. We're all doing Monday qualifying, chasing the dream of being on the PGA Tour. But just when you meet a special group of people, it's something that you never forget. And the stories that he tells and the way that he goes about it is just so enjoyable. At least it was for me, and I hope it comes across to all of you in the same way. His name is Jeff Champion, and aside from having a very, very interesting story unto himself, where he one time was a professional 9-ball pool player, transitioned that into golf, and eventually played professionally. Didn't quite get to the level that he was probably should have at the PGA Tour, but took his shot nonetheless, and has been in and around the golf business for probably 30 years. So a ton of great stories. We laugh a ton in this one. I really hope that everybody enjoys this as much as I did catching up with him. It's been a number of years since we were together and connected, but really going to try to have him on more just because he is so enjoyable to listen to be around, and just to hang out with. So give it up and give a big, big Golf 360 welcome for my buddy and the Alabama legend, Mr. Jeff Champion. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Golf 360 podcast. I'm the host, Pete Popovich. So you may be asking yourself, what is Golf 360? And Golf 360 is a show that was designed to introduce you to people associated with the game of golf to help you improve not only at your game, but also your life. Almost all of our guests are from within the industry in some way, shape, or form, but some of the guests we have are from outside the industry, and it mainly revolves around the business world with a few others scattered in here and there. Now, all of the guests that we have a few things in common. One, they all were highly successful and accomplished in their field. Two, each has something to pass along that will help you in your game and your life. And three, they were all more than willing to give back by passing along the things that they use to help them in their career, and even some of the mistakes that they made so that others don't make them in their journey. So I hope you find listening to them as enjoyable as I did interviewing them, and that each and every one of you benefits from the information that they so willingly and graciously pass along. Hey, everybody. I want to give a big shout out to a new sponsor of the Golf 360 podcast, and that's Affinity Wealth Management Group. We all work exceptionally hard for our money, and none of us can afford to let that fall into the dark abyss of the big box financial service firms and their jack of all trades and master of none mantra, which basically means you become a number within a cookie cutter model that's also often accompanied by massive fees. Your future deserves more than average returns and little attention. At Affinity Wealth Management, they ensure that your financial goals receive highly individualized, tailored attention from experts, not just advisors, who are in the industry to be great and not average. As a client of Affinity Wealth, you receive a customized solution to your customized life, keeping in mind your family's financial situation, values, and risk tolerance. Call Affinity Wealth today for a no-cost consultation with one of their experts at 724-754-8200. Again, that's 724-754-8200. Or you can also check them out on the web at www.affinitywealthmg.com. That's AFFINITY WEALTHMG.com. This podcast is brought to you in part by Just Thrive Probiotic. You may be surprised to learn that your digestive system is the key to creating and maintaining the quality of your physical, mental, and emotional health, and it's one of the body's most essential systems. That's why the majority of nutritionists today highly recommend probiotics as an indispensable nutritional supplement. As a discriminating consumer, you've probably been searching for a probiotic that is proven, potent, and effective, and you found it. Just Thrive is your best choice for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Just Thrive Probiotic captures the power of hundreds of thousands of years of nature's design with a specialized bacillus strain formulation that guarantees survivability through the stomach and upper digestive system. Supports optimum gut health, digestive health, immune health, and delivers antioxidants. Great for adults, kids, and the whole family. Use promo code GOLF360 at www.thriveprobiotic.com for 10% off your order. All right, I got Jeff Champion, my main man, back from the DP Tour days, the Alabama golf legend. How you doing, brother?
Man, I am doing great, and I appreciate you having me on.
You know, we're going to get to the Ryder Cup here in a second, since that just happened this weekend. But I got to know, because I've been telling everybody, I put your post out there, and Alabama legend, and everyone's saying that don't, not the people who know me a long time, and people like my brother who heard of you, all the stories I told, and then the people who didn't, I've been saying, they said, who's Jeff Champion? I said, well, he's Alabama legend, number one. I said, number two, he's a better storyteller than Uncle Remus. Ain't no doubt. And I said, we're going to tell some stories. But my granddaddy that raised me, he could have been the best, and I think it just come off. I could sit around and listen to him, and not because he's my granddad. It was just like, and I mean, he just could tell them just like they ought to have been told. I mean, you couldn't help but laugh and enjoy it, and that making people smile and laugh, that's a pretty good thing. It goes a long ways. And you always been good at that since I known you 20 years ago.
How about that? 20 years ago, done passed.
Flies by in a flash, doesn't it? So before we jump into Ryder Cup stuff, because we can talk all about that all night, but we ain't. I got to hear the story because we rescheduled a couple times because you lost your phone. How does a grown man in today's world lose his phone?
Listen, and that's my wife. She had one opinion about it, and I had another one. She remembered her opinion better than I remembered mine, and she claims I had too much fun at the golf course before I got back to the casino, but I think somebody stole it. There's no telling where that thing is, and back in the day, I think we did have them flip phones and Nextel and stuff. When we was playing golf, like you said, 20 years or so ago. But before that, when you was growing up as a kid, you just went to somebody's house or you called whenever you was around a phone, and your mama probably had that cord that reached all the way across the kitchen, somewhere you had to dodge it. And I thought I was going to panic. So it was Saturday night when I couldn't find it. And then I didn't get one till yesterday. And I swear, I was like, my God, the world was going to end. And how the heck did we make it back there in those days? But you don't realize how much we depend on these things. So everything I do is pretty much related to it.
I remember being a kid coming around the corner. My mom had that cord stretch all the way out and about decapitated me. Right?
Yeah, it had the phone with the dial on it. Them the good old days. And they really, compared to what we're doing these days, they were the good old days.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so let's jump into Ryder Cup. It was this past week. And we're all good.
I don't think anybody saw that. But without a doubt, and there were so many of them playing so good when they came in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to explain to my wife, I was lucky enough to get to go up there with Boo when he was on it. And I'm red, white, and blue, man. And I'm kind of emotional. And this, you've got 75,000 people or so chanting USA, and you could hear it all over the golf course. And it's the greatest. I've got to go to a few pretty good sporting events, and that was hands down. But again, me loving golf, it was hands down, no. And having somebody that's such a good friend of yours, to be participating in it anyway. That even made it that much better. So, and I was watching it the other day, and Shelly's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Nothing. A bug flew in my eye or something or other." But those kids, they're playing. Hey, they might do this for. This could go on for 4 or 5 more times for any. I mean, we've got some young ones and some short enough good ones, and it seemed like everything they did, they just gelled together too.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be the mantra, the culture of the younger generation, where we didn't have it on that DP tour. We had a special group of guys that all hung out and we rooted for each other, even when we were playing together and trying to beat each other. But for a while there, the PGA Tour was more about let me do my own thing, and that was great for winning the Masters or winning the PGA or a weekly event, but that was not good for team camaraderie, at least in my opinion.
And without a doubt, the Europeans have taken it way more serious, and I don't think people take that into consideration that we have. I mean, because that interview, if anybody got to see it, with McElroy, he's in tears, a grown man, and it's not, because he's weak anyway. It's just, I believe, and I think Aza said it the best. They're a little bit of a favorite, just the way they look at us. Kind of we're like we're spoiled, and they come here want to, and we could be, want to. That's a big deal to them. But luckily, our guys this time, that was pretty impressive. 19. That's going to be hard to. That's a bunch of them.
I think that the President's Cup has issue with, like, what do those guys rally under? Because they're all from different parts of the world. It's not like they can get under a flag. They're not from one nation. They might share that they're scattered, but that's about it. And I don't know if that's a strong enough bonding agent.
That's the thing to me that holds them back, because they kind of get to choose more. And I seem to think they have access to more of the better players because, per se, because they get pretty much everybody. But it's just a bunch like an all-star team they're picking, as opposed to where you actually got guys coming that are running buddies, great friends, and that just want to win, as opposed to the Ryder Cup. Mm-hmm. Because that one, there is a difference. I mean, they're both great to watch, and without a doubt. But finally, getting back to our kids, I mean, those guys, and they're young. Everybody's young these days, it seems like. But there's so many and great players. I mean, golf has changed so much. When you and I was doing this, Heath Slocum told me this last year at a shindig we was at, and he was talking about how golf had passed, like us by. I mean, if you hit it 285-ish back in the day, that was all right. Now, that don't even make the front page or anything. Mm-mm. I mean, then those guys are hitting it so far. I don't know what they're going to do to change it. And the ball goes so straight. I mean, that shot tracker, they just line it up and hit it dead straight. And of course, it makes sense. I'd rather be 100 yards from the green and a little bit of rough than standing back there with a 6-iron in the middle of the fairway. But them kids don't have no fear no more. They come right out of college winning. It's what's amazing to me. There's nobody that intimidates them like Tiger did. And the ones that's out there now, they had to YouTube Tiger. I mean, they just heard about him. Because heck, he's getting on up in the years to go with it.
Well, the
players out there, without a doubt.
The funny thing about that is when Tiger was hurt and he was out before he made his comeback, not now, but a couple years back, in was it like 2015 or 16 until he won the Tour Championship and 18
right.
in the Masters in 19. But I got a kick out of all those young kids, and I guess that they're groomed or taught and have the mindset that, take on the challenge no matter what it is, et cetera, et cetera. And they were all saying, I can't wait to get in that final group or that final round when Tiger comes back and stare him down and, all the other stuff that they were saying. And then along comes the Tour Championship and there's Tiger. And they just all fell to just one after another. Boom, boom. And there's one guy standing there at the end.
And they said that, and I get it, because they, bless their hearts, they didn't know what they was talking about. But when you caught him in the day, it was this simple. He was better than everybody else. He worked harder than everybody else, and then he knew it. And it wasn't no arrogance. He just literally, dealing with him, nobody's used to playing in front of those kind of crowds.
Mm-mm.
I mean, because everybody at the golf course was there. And then, like you said, we've got these young kids that heard about him and they can't wait. Boy, they right up till they get a hold of him. And that was pretty impressive. How I enjoyed watching him win that, because I wanted him to have, something where these young ones just didn't think that maybe it was all hype and it wasn't all what it's supposed to be. But I think 82 or 83, whatever it is, that should cover pretty much all the bases, shouldn't it?
But I mean,
83 wins or 82, that's crazy. I mean, in his prime, he was averaging like 1 every 4 tournaments.
Right.
I mean, that's what that actually was. And, I think Boo won 3 or 4 times out there and got to play a Ryder Cup. So that's considered a pretty good career and did good. And, I mean, and he won 4 or 5 times, multiple times every year. I mean, it was now, I will say, I think kind of maybe like in Jack's day, he wasn't competing against as many good ones, and not that Tiger was competing against weaker ones. It does seem to be more of a stronger all the way through field, but also, again, I do believe with him in his prime when he was 30, they wouldn't have liked it no more than they wouldn't have liked none of that. I mean, that's just how it is. But it's hard to, what's aggravating is it's just hard to try to compare, different eras like that. And I guess we'll do that forever.
Yeah, and it's both sides can argue the point, but both sides, I think, have a fair case on their argument.
Since we talked and kind of jumping around here a little bit, I was thinking about that summer out there on the DP tour. So we got Jason Bone. He did pretty fair out there,
Mm-hmm.
I would think. And then you had Boo.
Scott Perrell.
Scott Perrell. Yeah. That
Bubba.
To me, Scott, and Bubba came along at the end, and
Mm-hmm.
Lord, that goes along, and 2 Masters and everything else he's done. The one that my best one first goes, it like I do. There's not a better person on the planet than Scott Perrell. I mean, every time I was ever around him, he was just as nice as he could be, really humble, and he hung in there so long, because it's just tough to when things ain't going your way. People think you're playing golf. Man, that's great. You got it made. But if you're not on TV doing it, I promise you ain't got it made. They don't understand. And it took Scott a while to finally get to where he's at. But, man, it's so cool to see him out there playing good and winning, because to me, it's just well-deserved.
And he was on the show, and I didn't realize that he was probably getting close to hanging it up when he was 48-ish. And then he wins that Nationwide or Corn Fair or whatever they call it now. And that gets him exempt to the Champions Tour.
It was 48. It was 48 or maybe 49. I mean, it was like right there at the end.
Yep. And it's like, and then he goes out there and he just starts doing great. I mean, he come in 2nd and 3rd in the Schwab Cup the last couple of years?
He has went out there, and it just shows you that, he's made $1 million plus pretty much every year since he's been out there. I don't know if I know he hasn't had like one bad year. I mean, but I think for him, he's so hungry that he finally got there after all he's been through.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely just taken advantage of it. And once again, to me, that's very well deserved. I mean, a good cat to go with it.
And we were talking when we hooked up a week or so ago about this. I mean, the scores you had to shoot on that tour that summer to win, because I was rooming with Jake Reeves a lot back then. And I remember Jake at dinner one night looking at me and said, I just shot 31 under in 2 weeks, and I came in 2nd and 3rd. Because Boo shot like 41 under in two tournaments.
Steve Gilly at the time.
Silent Assassin.
I mean, the Silent Assassin. We had everybody named out there. And that one guy, I can't think of him. He reminded me of Duffy, all of us. We called him the flat-footed assassin. What was that? There's no telling. I hope none of these people are listening. If they are, we meant good. We meant well by. But that was the thing. You could go shoot 12 or 15 under, and I did that so many times just to not make a check. And you're like, dadgummit. Now, this is kind of getting, 15 under for 3 days is pretty good. 12 under is pretty good. And then Boo goes out there well, Heath didn't stay out there long. He took his break and he did the what 1 to 3. What's that Battlefield
Yeah,
promotion?
that Battlefield promotion. Yep.
And I think he set a record there in that where he went like 107 or 108 holes out of bogey. Man, I can't. At our golf course, we move it everywhere and pick up like 3-footers, and I can't play 18 holes without a bogey cheating. And it's legalized cheating. And he went out there. That's kind of crazy.
Well, I remember I come home.
Out there.
I come home because I'd miss a cut, and they're like, "Well, what'd you shoot?" I said 6 under. I said, "And you didn't make the cut?" I said, "No, missed by 4."
And that is what I got looked at awful funny. I was lucky enough to have a few people that kind of helped me then, and luckily they knew golf and knew. But there was a time or two there was like, seriously, wow. I mean, yeah, you shot like 8 under for 3 days. And the bad thing, if you ever shot an even par round in those 3 days, it's everybody passed you. You didn't win nothing because everybody knows the mini tours. If you're not in the top 5, then everything
you're losing money.
Yes. And what we were the one thing that was fortunate for us is Jack had set that up, his dad, which always was, I thought, treated everybody great.
Mm-hmm.
By putting up the money like we had to, it was guaranteed the purse every week, no matter if somebody didn't make it or not. And some of the mini tours, like on the Panhandle things, when we wasn't playing and we'd go down there, you might have like 6 guys show up and it'd be a $600 entry fee. And you're sitting around going, wow, I mean, this is, there really is no money in it. It's, like I said, if you wasn't on TV to that point, that it was way, way more grind than I think people that don't quite understand it, really gets it.
Yeah. And people used to tell me back then, and to this day, I don't tell anybody I used to play unless kid comes to me and
me neither.
Unless a kid comes to me and says, I used to play and I want to go do it. Can I talk to you? Yeah, sure. I'll help somebody out. But they used to say, well, playing for a living must be the greatest thing in the world. That'd be like a dream come true. I said, well, yeah, I mean, it is, but
and it is. Now, yes, it is.
But when you're 1,000 miles from anybody and you just missed your 3rd cut in a row, and even if you're playing bad, I mean, those walls on the hotel start coming in pretty quick.
Man, and I was one of the older ones. I kind of started, I messed around, and I kind of, the money I was playing for was by the hole, not by the tournament, till I got to out there a little, and I love the family, the whole deal. And that part when you're playing bad, like you said, that gets old. You're ready to go home. You're ready to see your family. Because you don't have no friends when you're playing bad, and it's that's when that it's tough to stick it out. And not that's one thing I was talking about Scott. Just for him to hang in there, he had a great support system with his wife, and because that's a tough one. I mean, we're the same age, and he could have quit 1,000 times. I know if he wanted to, and probably thought about it. But hey, that's, to me, one of the best stories. He hung in there. Like I said, he's done well, and it's well deserved.
And he hasn't forgotten anybody. I reached out to him, and he called me back, and it was like we just saw each other last week. And I bet I ain't talked to him in at least 15, 20 years.
The same thing. You brought that up. I hit him up on Facebook or something. Replied like nobody's business, just like we wasn't no different when we was hanging out. Got his phone number, have texted a few times. Of course, you don't want to bother nobody. Always replies, always says, how's the family, this, that, and other. And that's just typical him. That's what I said. If anybody, he's the guy that if anybody, because it definitely wasn't no silver spoon with him. Man, he's earned everything he's gotten.
That's the interesting thing of, at least back then, I don't know how it is now, but when we were playing, most of the guys out there there were no assholes that I can remember. Maybe I just forgot about them, but I don't remember there being any, because if you were, you were excommunicated pretty quickly. Right?
With that group we had, that's for sure. That is for sure.
And what's funny is, so my brother is, I don't know his exact title. I just say he's the Southeast regional manager for PXG, I guess is the best way I could put it. So his territory is Nashville. He goes as far as Nashville west. He has from DC down to, I think he somewhat covers Florida, and I think he goes maybe as far as Georgia. He didn't get over to your place that I know of, but when he was going around, but when he was still an account rep, he would run into guys and they'd look at him, and they'd stare at him like Hank Smith was down at Sea Island back then. I'm sorry.
John Wayne.
I'm sorry.
Man.
I'm
John
sorry.
Wayne.
I'm sorry. Hank Smith was outside of Atlanta. He's still up there. He's a coach, the Duke. And I gotta get you to tell that story in a minute. But Hank Kim.
If he don't mind it, if he's listening.
So Hank Kim was outside of Atlanta, and he worked. My brother worked with him on some stuff here at the IJGA, and then Hank Smith. Remember him?
Yeah.
He was at Sea Island. He's now in Kiowa. He's looking at my brother one day and says, "Damn, you look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere?" He said, "No, you
look a lot of. Hey, y'all look a lot.
He says, "No, it's my brother." But he's meeting all these guys. He met Perel. He met Jason Bone because he goes to Atlanta quite a bit. And he's met all these guys I played with, and he said, "Man, you guys must have had a blast." He goes, "I know you told me the stories." He said, "But I got to meet him." He said, "Those guys are amazing." He met Jake Reeves.
I'm gonna give you two right quick. If I don't, I'm not to cut you off. If I don't, I'll forget it. That's how I can't remember what to do one day or the next. I talked to Bud Steele like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest of all times. I mean, Bud Steele was, Bud Steele he was John Daly. He was a miniature John, and everybody knew it. He'd pick me up sometimes if he came through Arkansas and came through Alabama when we were going to Atlanta. He might just pick me up. We were staying together, and when Boo and him had moved on, so he'd have a big cooler in the back of his Tahoe, and he'd have like a case of Bud Light and a case of Coke or Diet Coke. And he would just reach in there and whatever he pulled out, if it was a Coke, he'd drink it. Now, granted, it would take us, it was like an hour and a half from my house to where we usually played at. And it would take 3 hours because he had to use the restroom like every third exit. But he'd always have that cigarette in his mouth and call himself a professional athlete. You know, I'm a small guy, but Bud's like 5'5". He was like 230 at 5'5". He was square, man, but he could flat play.
He is very good.
We really had some great talent out there. I mean, looking back at it, that was the hardest. I thought it was going to be the easiest deal.
Mm-hmm.
Before I went out there, I was looking at the internet and trying to find somewhere to play, and I'm like, this is pretty cool because they're putting up the money. So at least we was playing for. If you happen to win one, you pretty much broke even. So you got your 15 back. And then it was like 15, 10, and 5. And of course, after that on the mini tours, everything it's gone. It drops off. And we get out there, and like you said before, you get in there and you played good, you thought, and somebody's at 18, 19 under, and you're like at 8. And you're thinking, damn, I mean, wonder what was they scrambling? I mean, how did they get to there? I mean, because we were playing the same golf course, I'm pretty sure. And you're going, I know I didn't play that bad, but then you look back, what was cool, at least we had this fall back on. The people that went on, Bone goes out there and win. Bubba's got the 2 Masters, Boo, Ryder Cup, mm-hmm. Heath, Proven. I mean, thank goodness, it wasn't like the people that were beating us were nobody. So right. I always use that. I make sure I throw that in there in case anybody goes to telling me, why did I do it? And I have to at least come up with some kind of story.
And it was it was a good time off the court. What did you remember that one guy, Roger's name? He was the mini tour legend back then. He had been playing for.
He made it through. Roger.
Is it Rowland?
Roger Rowland.
Okay.
I still hang out with Ben Bates some. I get to talk to him a good bit. And Ben had known Roger, and Roger, I didn't know. And if Roger, if you listen or hear this, you know where I'm on this. His swing didn't look like that. He wasn't swinging at it like Fred Couples.
No, he made Jim Furyk or Matt Wolf swing look like Tom Pertz or a Sam Snead.
Example, yeah, right. He made Tom Pertz, yeah. But when he got done, you'd think he went out there and shot him like 1 or 2 over it. He's just shot 5 or 6 under. But he made it through last year. He was the same age. I'll be 56 mine. So a few years back, he did get to the point to where, on that, I mean, getting on a senior tour has got to be tougher than anything because mm-hmm. First, they don't want you out there, which is understandable. That's their retirement, but they don't take, hardly anybody. And he finished right outside the money. He got to play a few events, But again, if you're not, completely, if it's not, you're still in a bad position with that. But Roger Rowland, I forgot about him. That was another one that was tougher than a pine knot, man.
I
He was
remember
a
the
good one
first
out there.
tournament I play in that summer. I'm hitting balls next to him on the range, and I'm thinking, this guy ain't
Well,
gonna
I
break
think
80.
yeah, I'm like, man, when I see he must have a
What the
bunch
hell?
of money.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get in, and I'd be down, and I'll never forget because my first event as playing tour golf, he shoots 67, I shoot 77. I said, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, I got me a sample of that too, a time or two. I'm going to tell this one on Jake, and I hope he's listening. If he ain't, I'm going to call him and tell him to listen if he goes back. We was talking about the first time I got to ride with him, and we would always every day, or at least the first 2 days, whenever we got done, everybody would kind of tend to, because Boo and I and Heath and Travis we all roomed together. Where everybody ended up at our rooms, piddling around, enjoying it, and that's why that tour was cool, because we got to meet up, like you and I. We'd have never got to meet, hadn't been for that. But Jake's in there, and of course he ain't saying much. And Jake being Jake, after I finally really got to know him, we're out there playing, and he hits it like 10 feet, and he complains a little bit. Well, he does this for like 5 holes, and he's never hit one outside 15 feet. And he's throwing his club, and it's one of them days where I needed a cowbell around my ball. I couldn't find it. It was going every direction. And I said, listen, man, he's like 4 under. I said, I don't mind you bitching and whining, but you're going to have to quit throwing your shit, because I can't take this much longer. And he took it so serious, like he had to hit every shot perfect. And Jake was another one that was a very good player. And it did loosen him up. And, of course, that was kind of the day we kind of crossed the line to be a lot better buddies, because I was like, loosen up a little bit. I mean, it's not life or death. But he took it so serious. And then you had Travis. I mean, the Heisman Trophy winner. What? Lord. Now it's all coming back to me.
Wait, there was the story, was it you said it to Jake, or Jake said it to somebody else, that because something about Mary had come out back then, and someone was all serious, and they hit some shot, and they hit it about 20 feet, and someone looked at him and said, hey, it's only a game, fucker. And whoever said it to that person just busted out laughing. They were like one of the guys after that.
Look, another one just popped in my head. Scott Newell. You remember him? Wasn't that his name? Good dude. He was out there too. I stay in touch with him off and on Facebook. I think he's done real good for himself. He's down in South Florida. But another just a good cat. Everybody were good players. We just didn't realize that they was about 5 or 6 that really ended up being good players. But again, they were better people than nothing toward Bubba. He might not have been the most approachable one out there, but he knows that. So it ain't like it's going to hurt his feelings. It ain't going to bother me one way or another. He knows that too.
I remember that when I started hanging out with you guys, and I don't know, it was the second or third event I was in, and we go out to dinner, and there must have been 10 of us at least. And Roger Rowland says, well, when the waitress goes to say, hey, we're going to check out, we're going back to the hotel. And Roger says, well, let's play credit card lottery. And I'm thinking, what's credit card lottery? And you might have been the one explaining, kind of brought me into the group. And I'm like, oh shit, I just got this money to come out here. And now if I lose, I got to tell the guy helping me that he's going to say, what's his bill for $1,200?
He's going to say, hey, don't trust me, I was playing good golf. This was the credit card lottery that got me on this.
And for some, you go ahead and explain what credit card lottery is when a bunch of guys on a mini tour, pro sports, go out to dinner.
I had that one there caught me off guard. And it very seldom was my mouth shut. But that was one time it was, because I was in the same boat. I'm like, there is no way in hell I can explain this to anybody that's involved with anything I'm doing when we go home. And how did that end up? I mean, nothing just pops in my head. And like I said, jumping around, the guy played on the mini tour. I mean, he went out there and played, had the biggest calves of anybody. John He went on and played out there for a while on the nationwide and all that stuff. But now people are just jumping in there they were actually way better players than okay, hold on. Do you remember the guy that dressed like Tiger? That the kid that came out there?
Yeah, he was from Pensacola, wasn't
he? He dressed like Tiger,
yep.
and he never shot under 80.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, when I say dressed like Tiger, like everything, his britches could cut you. It was, and his family, he was one of the ones, and he wasn't a bad kid, but I mean, he was like super young, but he had a bunch of money. I mean, like this guy probably didn't win his club championship or nothing at home.
But was he the guy that played in the Edwin Watts in Pensacola in the Pro-Am and ended up winning because they said he shot 16 under, and everyone's like, we play with this guy every week. There ain't no way he couldn't shoot 16 under to putt.
And the thing was, actually, Heath and I and Boo had played. Yes, he did, and that's where of course, Heath wasn't going to say nothing, and I'm looking around, and I don't know that Boo didn't say something about it because this guy never he never broke 80, and he sure did. I don't know what kind of group he had with him, but it was something crazy. Like he went ahead. I'll give him credit for this. He didn't half-ass lie. He just went on and did a good one. If he was going, it's like 15, 16 under, and the kid ain't never shot that many in his life.
Mm-mm. No, that was some crazy shit. You know who else was out? Jim Hallett. Remember Jimmy?
Yes.
He had he needed something like 3 more cuts made on the tour to get his pension, and he had that shoulder surgery, and he was out there. And that guy, he'd have those divots that would go, if you wanted to hit it straight at 12 o'clock, his divots would go to about 10, maybe 9:30.
And he was, bless his heart, that he did. See, that's another thing that people that really don't understand how it works, how close because that pension, I mean, it wasn't going to make him a millionaire, but it dadgum sure was going to help. I mean, and that's, I don't think, well, I don't think did that wrap him up when he was out there with
I'm
us?
not sure, but he for some reason, he liked me, took me under his wing. And I'll tell you a quick funny story about him and a rookie that was me playing pro golf for the first time. So he I forget we're in some small town, and he says, hey, the week before we were in Alabama or in Auburn, and he had met some he had met some graduate girls there. And he was calling me and wanted me to come meet him, and I was single back then. But we get up at 5:36 in the morning. I'm like, Jimmy, I ain't gonna do it. Maybe next week. So we're in another small town next week, and he calls me up. And he says, hey, you remember them 2 girls from last week? I said, yep. He said, well, I'm here with them at this place, and he tells me the name. I didn't know what it was. He says, come on down and meet us. They want to meet you. I told them about you. I said, okay, I'm not doing anything. So I go down to the lobby, and there's these older ladies that were working there and hanging out there, and I said, hey, you ladies know where this restaurant is? It's supposed to be a couple miles away. And they're looking at me like, no, we don't know where that is. So I find out somehow. And I walk in, and the door closed behind me, and a waitress walks by, and the wind blows her dress up, and she ain't got no panties on. And there's Jim over in the corner waving his hands. I said, there ain't no girls in here. He said, I know there's no way I was going to get you a strip club. I had to tell you those girls are here. And there was a girl swinging on the pole. She had to be 240 pounds. I said, God dang, Jim, we couldn't have found a better place than this. But he was just laughing. He was such a good guy.
That I'm telling you, and Miss Kay and Jack, he's mom and dad, they would always stop by, but they were like our parents per se. They'd always stop by and have a glass of wine or something. Make sure everybody got to bed early. Y'all got golf play tomorrow. Act like you got some sense. That is as close to a family deal. I mean, I got to play baseball in college and been around a bunch of different things. That was the coolest summer. I don't know. It fit.
I'll tell some other people. Well, you remember another good player that went on to win on the nationwide a couple of times was Johnny Kimball.
That's who I was talking about earlier. That's who I meant with the big old cat.
Yep, because
yes.
If I didn't stay with Jake, Kimball and I would room together.
And another one, very quiet, didn't say a lot. Man, he struck that thing too, boy. That's what I mean. It wasn't. Lord, we just picked a bad summer. We should either went one summer before or one summer
Well,
after.
then we had the Henley brothers. Remember, Brent and
And that
Kip.
was, and they'll. I hope they're listening too, because great people. On our Mondays we do our practice rounds, and
Hmm.
somebody would do a little old box. And even if it was like a $2 box, a $5 box, they would, they'd spin everybody around. Well, they'd beat 20 of us. So I mean, a $2 box could be. I mean, somebody could lose 700, 800. The box could, I mean, the players couldn't, but it was that alone, and both of them, which that again, that's two good ones too. Now, hey, I know they've done very well for themselves out on the tour. Are they both still there, or is just what's it?
Yeah, I had Brent was on the show back in the spring, and he was actually telling me, and he might even said on the show that he was just about ready to pack it up. And then he did for like 2 weeks, and he posted it on Twitter because, well, Kip's huge on Twitter, and Brent's got a lot of followers, just not as much as Kip. But Brent posted, "Hey, everybody, it's been 20-some years. I had a great time. I loved it. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but after this week, I'm done." I think he had 2 weeks off, and somebody, I think he was caddying for Bo Van Pelt, and then Bo played really good for a couple events. And then I think somebody else called him, and he basically he's back out there.
Well, I can tell you this: he's a better man than me. Both of them are, because uh, years at the end of kind of Boo's little his deal, him and JoJo was getting ready to do. I mean, kind of, it was time for them a break, and I'd always aggravated Boo about it, and never thought it was going to happen. But I got to do 6 tournaments with him one summer, and people have no earthly idea what goes in, what a real caddy does. The first 3 tournaments, Boo was nice to me, and I got to tote the stand bag, that one. Well, of course, I knew that wasn't going to last long. But JoJo was nice enough to me. His caddy, where he gave me all the yardage books and all the notes and everything where they had played, the years where we went. That kept me from getting up at 5:30 or 5 in the morning and going out there and walking. I mean, those guys put in so much. That I know they get paid good, and especially when your guys playing good. But yourself, a good caddy. That's why when a player gets a good caddy, to me, that they stick with them, and it's because it is so dadgum hard and nerve wracking. I mean, it was a lot more nervous to me caddying for Boo than it ever was playing, because our very first hole, if this won't take but a second, we're at St. Jude, number 10. We start on the back. I give him a yardage, and I do it ass backwards, of course, instead of forwards. So if Boo hit it straight as he always did, he hits it dead at the flag and flies it like 20 yards over the green. Well, as soon as it comes off the club, I go, I forgot. This is bad. And Boo turned around, never looked at the ball, turned around, looked at me, and he said, "Seriously?" And I said, "I'm afraid so." So it flies back there. Now, the green, there's no way to get it up and down. I mean, the best thing to do is hope it stays on the green. We make a bogey on that hole. We go to the par 3 next. Now, I'm not sure. I think the par 3 yardage was right, but he hits it in the water. So it makes double. So we go bogey, double bogey. That's how now. And you're talking about two people. Boo and I run around together ever since those days. And the next 3 holes, we never spoke. He never said nothing to me. I didn't like that, because that made me feel uncomfortable. But somehow and other things kind of came around, because we had a birdie putt on the last hole for the lead. Now, that golf course is pretty tough, and we had got it to 5 under. And this bad news, though, we 3-putt the last hole. We're still in good shape. But the stuff, what I'm getting at with that is, if to do it, to go out there and they hit balls, and if you got somebody like VJ Singh, I can't imagine doing that, where he, wants you to be there at 3:30 in the morning and start hitting balls, and you can't go home to like 10 at night. I mean,
yeah, I think Kip caddy for him for 2 weeks and said, "No, this ain't for me."
I'm gonna tell my buddy about this. Billy Prentice is a guy older than us. Has made a great living on the women's tour. Super good guy, good player. He's an ex-pro, but he caddied up there for a long time. Had some wins, and we was talking about this a while back about the caddying for the foreigners. And I hope nobody, I'm not racist or anything. I want to get that out of the way. But he said, if you happen to have one of those, if you happen to have one that their work ethic was so different than the Americans that they literally, that was a big thing for them. I mean, they were there from daylight to dark. And he was talking about the hours that you put in. And I was like, no, I know it. I said, there is no way. 6 tournaments I couldn't win another one because, and we had some good tournaments, Boo and I, but if you're a kind of a decent player, that ain't good to be a caddy because some shots I'm wanting him, I'm thinking I could hit and I should be telling him something different. So that didn't shindig. But also when you get somebody like I'm talking about Billy, that you got somebody that's from daylight to dark, and again, it pays well, but this is not a 9-to-5 job, man. I mean, and then they're driving, they're not flying everywhere like the pros are. I mean, they're getting in the car with 2 or 3 more people, and they're driving whatever the 8 or 10 miles. I mean, again, we said earlier, you and I, if you're not on the tour, then you really, what you're doing is so stressful. Again, we chose it. We love it. So I'm not complaining about it. I wouldn't trade nothing for it, but I wouldn't recommend it. And I heard that John McGinnis say a while back, I forget what tournament it was. There was 2 guys at Go Shoot 62, and they was 2 spots. They had to play off for it. One kid shoot 61. The 2 guys that shoot 62, this on the Monday qualifier, had to play off for it. Now, he said, if you just take that in consideration, if you want to go play golf, think about, you got to go. And that Monday qualifying could be the Lord. You'd rather stand in front of the fire squad to do that, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah.
That was brutal.
I went back and played in 05 and 06 again. And that was going to be if I didn't make it, and I obviously didn't, that was it. And I remember going to the Buick Open up in Michigan because that's, my folks are up there. And I get through that was when that was the year they started the pre-qualifier. So right. I forget what I shoot. I shot pretty good, 3-4 under the pre-qual. And then Monday, and this was an old school golf course. It was kind of straight fairways and tree lined, and you had to hit it straight and you had to hit it fairly long. And
like it's supposed to be.
And back then, every year, because my one buddy would go. I mean, he was a good golfer, and he was a really good golfer, but he was an amateur, got his amateur status back, but he would try anyway just to see if he could do it, play really good one day and get in, that type thing. But so he said every year 1 or 2 under almost got in every single year on the Monday at this place. That was a 4th spot. Well, I shoot 68, and I'm in like the 4th group of the day, and they got 400 guys there, and I wait around all day, and Sean Pachetti from Alabama.
I forgot about him.
He cuts me in the next to last group. I sat around there for 7.5 hours thinking I'm going to get in the Buick Open, which Warwick Hills was perfect for my game. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to finally get in one after how many years? And he comes in, cuts me by 1 shot, and gets in.
Pete, how many good rounds? One day good rounds. And when I say this, that because more than I wanted to count, and I know it just wasn't us, it's everybody else. How many good rounds? And when I say a good round, I'm saying 4 under, 6 under to 4 under. And that if that was a Thursday, you're in perfect position. But you go in there, people don't realize. And back then, anybody, they would let these idiots they'd let these other golfers get in there and play. And you might get paired if you caught a bad streak. You might get paired with the car salesman that's going to shoot 115 and literally and tell you while you're trying to do your thing that, how good he is. He's having a bad day. The wind's blowing. Now, I know you had to deal with that.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody's ever done it. But you go shoot 4 or 5 under, and you miss it by like 3, and you're on the way home going, damn, I played solid. That's one day at a tough – and a lot of times you never got to play a practice round because we would leave a mini tour event and drive overnight somewhere to just play a Monday qualifier. That Monday qualifying, where the people like that Patrick what's his name? The damn superhero out
Reed,
there,
Patrick Reed.
Reed or not. That deal he did, he went either 13 out of 14 or like 14 out of 15 Monday qualifiers. It was something crazy that he got through. And if you'll remember, he hadn't been out there long, and he said, hell, he thought he was one of the top 5 players in the world, and they laughed at him.
Mm-hmm.
And I told people around here, I said, I'm going to tell you this. I don't know where he ranks at, but I can promise you, if you have dodged, if you have made 10 out of 15 Monday qualifiers, you're a hell of a damn player, because you have no idea. It's a one-day shootout, and there is no room for mistakes. How many people did you know that would play 9 holes? And if you was even par after 9 holes, a lot of them just go get in a car and drive off.
Yeah.
When they wouldn't finish.
Yep.
Because he's like, I got to go somewhere and do something else. And you knew if you won 5, 6, 7, 8 under. I mean, that it was them was tough ones. And like I said, then you might get paired. Not that you had to compete with 300 people, but 100 of them, might be that drunk uncle that shows up at your house every Christmas that can't, I mean, that's who you get. You're like, damn, how'd I get this guy? And next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, you got him again. You're like, damn, I thought you had a job, man. How you following me around?
Oh, I miss it, man. I miss hanging out with all the guys.
Let me tell you what. I'm going to do this. I'm going to aggravate everybody to death. I've reached out to a few of them, and we've got to figure out a way somehow or another. So how many can we have on this thing? I mean, how many can we have at one time? Can we do this? Is there a limit?
Well, on I can plug in 4 microphones. Now, if you know some audio guys around your area that can tackle more, I'm all for it. But it does. I had let's see, Tim Cook. He's in the top 50 coaches here. He's in Sea Pines. I had him and Bryson Nimmer.
I got to give a shout out. Hold on, I ain't cutting you off, but I'll forget. I got to give a shout out when I was at Coosa Pines. After we quit, after I got done there, I went and I was lucky enough. I got offered a head pro job at a place called Coosa Pines here, where I grew up at. Well, my guy, my cart guy, my assistant pro, my everything, and not just a good person, their whole family, just as good as they get. Bash Limbaugh. Well, it's actually Scott Limbaugh. He's the head coach at Vandy. He went on. He played at Huntington, which is here in Montgomery, and then he got to do the assistant coaching at Alabama. So he's one that recruited Justin, Trey Mullinax, 4 or 5 of them down there, and now he's the head coach at Vandy, and he's been like the SEC Coach of the Year 2 or 3 times. They've won a bunch. They stay in contention all the time, and I hope that he hears this, because I want him to know he was one of the best kids that I had ever been around. It's very well deserved on his part of it. His wife played basketball at Alabama, and that's how they met when they was down there, and they're 2 of the best people ever. And it just shows you, man, if you do the right thing and hang in there, the Lord, he understands how things work, and he'll be glad to bless you when he can. But if you are listening, Scott Limbaugh, brother, I greatly appreciate the time I got to spend with you.
Yeah, I can do 4 into the recorder, but it gets more than that. It starts at you don't have enough time for people to.
Well, let's just do me and you and Bud and Boo.
All right, definitely. I'm in.
I mean, do we have to? And is this one though that we got to do like it's a PG-13 or how?
No, someone came on the show. Goda, Coach Gill. They're from New Orleans. I don't know if you know those guys. They're really good guys, and he was holding back. He said, "Pete, can I say?" I said, "Coach Gill, you say whatever the fuck you want to say. This is my show." and after that, it was on, man.
That kind of cut ties when. Well, a while ago, I let a few slip, and I tried to back it up with something.
It's all good. We put the explicit tag on it, and we're all good.
Hey, that Howard Stern guy, he's done pretty good by saying anything he wanted to say.
Hey, I had my brother on here because he's doing really well, and everyone wanted to know about PXG. And he didn't hold back.
Well,
and then
the thing is, it's not that you're going to be disrespectful or nothing. It's just some of the stories.
You just got to use.
And I'm going to tell you what, we're saving a couple of stories because I'm doing another one. You're not getting rid of me that easy. whenever you get where if you, which you will never have to worry about this, but if you ever have another opening, by that time I'll get a hold of Boo, and we'll have we'll do where we can do a couple
Oh, yeah, I
together.
told this
I
winter.
need no, I'm on, and you know what? Before I even say it, I'm gonna need him with me on. A matter of fact, I want the one we're talking about on in there with it, because the hell, Travis is standing there. He's a good sport. He'll take it and say that we're exactly right. And that's some of the best stuff that goes back, things that,
But
that,
speaking of Travis, T Bass, we all love him, right? And he's a good golfer. He's a very good coach. But you got to tell the story about the tournament in North Augusta and the one throw, because
and again, if he's listening, I'm gonna try to get a hold of you tomorrow before you hear it and give you a fair warning. But you earned this for a grown man to try to be playing professional golf for a living, and you let us put this shit on you. That I'm sorry. That hell, you deserve it. And if you didn't deserve that one, you damn sure deserve the second one. I'm going to tell, because I'm not going to tell just one of them. I'm going to go ahead and do both of them. We're up there at Cedartown, where he lives at. Like their house, his parents' house, is on the golf course, and it's a nice house and everything. But the downstairs, and I'm running around. It was where it was like two houses on one. So Travis had his own house, a kitchen, the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, asked me and Boo stayed with him. Well, of course, you're supposed to be there for the Tuesday night, the Monday night meet and greet and all that shit.
Yeah, it was the players' meeting.
Players meeting, that's right. Jack goes over the rules. So he don't go. So Boo and I, we sit up there and we may have drank a little bit, and we go back to the house.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, well, and he says, and now this time, all we told him was, I said, man, he throws some new rules out there. And of course, Travis is like, yeah, that Jack says you don't never know. So the next day, first day, Stan Gann, if you're listening, I hope you're doing good, man.
Stan
Gann goes out there and he shoots 66. And granted, in Travis's defense, Stan Gann probably hadn't put too many low rounds together. But Travis shoots 67. And we get done. We're back at the room. And Travis he's livid for whatever reason, because it wasn't like he didn't like Stan. He just like, I can't believe this son of a bitch beat me, man. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, one of the strokes that he made up, actually two. He said, what? I said, well, he used this throw on number 10. I said, they threw it over his damn head and wedged it in there and made a birdie. And Travis said, hold on a minute. So what are you talking about? Boo said his throw. He said, I said, well, never mind. I said, if you'd been at the meeting, we had a throw. I said, you still got one. If you ain't used it, you can use it tomorrow or the next day. So for the ones that don't know Travis, and he's a little younger than us, he says, hold on a second. What do you mean a throw? Well, I said, look, he hit it out of bounds on number 10, but he was able to stand. He was in bounds. He was able to reach over there and throw it over his shoulder. And Boo said, yeah, Boo's over on the other side, got his head in the damn freezer because he's laughing. He's trying not. He said, yeah, you couldn't get a running start. And you know how Boo talked like a Cajun. Mm-hmm. He said, Travis said, what? I said, he reached in there, threw it right over his shoulder. He had about 80 yards in there, wedged in there, made a birdie, and he's off to the races. He said, I knew that what kind of damn tournament this Jack is running. So Boo and I were rotating, going to the damn freezer back and forth because we can't make eye contact with him. Because I really thought that you're playing golf for a living. You ought to know you can't reach out of bounds and throw one over your damn shoulder. So he said, when I see Jack tomorrow, well, sure enough, we let it go, and of course, me and Boo being us, the next day, first thing Travis does, he runs up on Jack, and Travis is madder than hell. He asked him, what kind of damn tournament you running where you can just reach out of bounds and throw one back in the damn fairway? And Jack said, son, son, said, settle down just a minute. Said, what in the hell are you talking about? He said, Boo and Champs done told me. Jack said, stop right there. He said, hold on, stop right there. He said, what did they tell you? He said, and Stan Gann, he said, I knew he couldn't beat me. And he's hung up on Stan for some reason. He said he reached over. Champ told me he reached over and got it out of bounds and threw it over his back in the fairway and wedged in there and made a birdie. And that's the difference. Jack said, son, come here. Son, come here for just a minute, man. Well, by this time, Boo and I was done right out there in the cart, and Boo's grinning like hell. And Jack said, son, come here. He said, don't do this to this. Don't do this to this kid no more. He said, who in the hell would believe, Travis, that you could play golf for a living, that you could reach out of bounds? And he said, and Boo said, I told him you couldn't get a running start. And you know how that sounded coming. Because Boo's got on a damn pair of tennis shoes, ain't even tied up, man, with white socks put down. I mean, he ain't got no golf attire on. So he said, I told him you couldn't get a running start, and now Travis is looking kind of weird. Well, Jack did scold us a little bit about that, like we were kids again. 3 weeks go by, and this is when that big one was. Because to us, that one in Brassdown Valley, that was as good and a harder golf course, I thought, as we played. And it was kind of, if it was a major, for our little shindig, that was kind of one of them. Travis goes out there and shoots 66, 69, got a 3-shot lead. And that was good playing. Hell, I shot even par. And anybody shot around even par was right there in the midst of it. So me and Travis are rooming together that week. And we get to the golf course, and there's a fog delay. And I have no idea why I came up with this, because Travis would just, bless his heart. Anyway, Travis leaves, goes sees Miss K, comes back, and he says, man, I said, we got a fog delay. I said, no, not if you don't want it. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, there ain't no fog on the back. I said, Jack said you can get a group, but you can't start on 10. You can start on 12. You can go there on 12 and start there. And by the time if you get back around, the fog will be gone. And he said, what? And I said, yeah. Now I'm going, there ain't no way in hell that nobody's. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we just told him you could throw it over your damn head, and he went for it. Now, and he's thinking about playing the tour. I said, what the hell are they going to tell him out there? So where we're sitting, and it's like a half a mile drive to the damn driving range. Now, Travis is one of those, as you knew, he'd get there at 8 and would hit balls to 10 just for a 9-hole match. He just had to
right.
practice. So we're driving out through there, and I done hollered at Boo, and Travis hollers at Boo and Jason Bone. He says, hey, y'all get ready. And now he's hollering down there because the putting green's way below where we're at. He says, y'all get ready. When I get back, we're going to 12. And Boo's looking at me and said, like, what's this? And I'm going, okay. Well, Boo catches us around there, and we stopped, and I told Boo what was going on. Kind of, he said, man, you need to put a stop to this. He said, seriously? Now he said, this ain't, I can't, is he really going for it? And I said, buddy, now I did feel bad about this one. So we go to the driving range. Travis gets out where he usually goes through his lob wedge to his 3-iron. He takes like a 3-iron and shoots about 10 of them out through there like a bullet, jumps back in the damn cart and says, let's go. And I'm thinking, I have got to tell him something. So we get back to the putting green, and he goes out there and he hits like 4 putts, tells Bone, and Boo said, y'all riding together or one of y'all riding with me? He said, let's go to number 12. And Boo said, hold on, I can't do this, man. He said, I can't take this no longer. Travis said, what? And I had to leave. I couldn't do it, even though Travis was my boy. I had to go back, and he said, cuz you can't go out there and start. Really? He said, you got to get over this shit. You can't just go out there and start on a damn hole because of the damn fog. And he said, you better quit listening to everything Champ tells you, man. So that is the worst part of it. We go out there. I shoot 5 under. I'm 1 shot off the lead. Travis shoots 3 over par. He came back there, buddy. Him and Bud end up tied up. They go to a playoff. Now I'm riding with Travis. Let's get this. I'm rooming with him and riding back home with him. Bud beats him in a playoff. I'm riding. I've got to ride 5 hours back to where we're at after I've told him that you could go start over on number 12 because of the fog. And he went and fell for it and then played bad. And he said, it ain't, and I apologize. I mean, if I've ever apologized for anything, Pete, I said, look him, and I won't do this no more. But I did tell him this. I said, let me tell you something, because I actually thought like probably most of us did, that he would end up out there. I mean, because he played that good. I said, I'm gonna tell you something. You ain't gonna be able to get on the tour, man. And they go telling you this shit like you just go start on 12 out there at the Phoenix Open or something.
Could you imagine Phil Mickelson having a field day with Travis?
If he had known, yeah. If I had, yes. I don't know. I don't know to this day if I felt worse. But now, Travis and I's been friends. Everything's been fine, and he don't even mind you telling that story. But I don't tell it much because I don't rub it in. Because damn, man, you can't throw it over your shoulder out of bounds. And when you say, look here now, you can't reach in there. You've got to make sure your feet's got to be inbounds. Now, if you can stand in bounds and grab it and throw it over your shoulder. And Boo hollered back, said, yeah, you can't get a running start and throw it. And then that's what even was better. And he said, that's how Stan Gann, he said, I knew that. His exact words. He said, I knew that Stan Gann couldn't beat me. And he's mad at hell at Stan. Stan ain't did shit, just played a good round of golf. Then we done
Stan's about the nicest guy you could ever meet, too.
It was. Him and Roger, well, I can tell you, him and Roger Rowland hung out, and they were always nice. They were especially nice after we played, and I rest my case on that. You never saw them in a bad mood. They was always tickled. Well, I know I kept you all night long, man. I hope
we just get warmed up. So,
I can do this. First of all, it's so good to catch up.
I got to tell that story that we were in. I think you and Boo were rooming together, and we were. I think we were in North Augusta at Midland Valley, I think, and we're sitting there. And by this time, Hank Kim had joined the tour, and Hank was a great player at NC State, and how he didn't get his tour card, I don't know, but. He was. We were watching the USM, and it was on rain. It got rained out, so they were playing from a prior one. And Hank was the medalist, and I think he shot 130 in qualifying. And that's the lowest in history. And they got on the TV, and there's like 6 of us in your room. And Travis looks at the TV and says, "Hank, how'd you shoot 130 in the USM and then get here so quick?" And I look at you, and you look at me, and we look at Travis. I said, "Travis. That's the USM, son. That's like 5 years ago. Don't you know that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I know that." We're like, "Bullshit, you didn't know that. You thought he actually played in the US Amateur." Oh,
and he was serious. Man.
He was serious.
He was dead serious.
And he's like, "Oh no, I was just fooling." Like, bullshit, you weren't fooling. Oh, he's a trip, man. I miss him.
The day though that Boo and I got paired with Hank. For the first time, you see him walking around. He's a big, tall,
Korean
guy.
Dude. He's Korean. He's about 6'3".
And see, I'm so scared nowadays. You can't say anything because you're racist if you do. And Hank he's in my phone. He knows I'm not. Hell, I love him to death and he loves this story. So we pull up on the first tee. We're going to introduce ourselves together. We knew each other, but we had never played together. So I get out and I said, "Man, I'm Jeff Champion." And he says, "Boo ain't got a chance to say anything yet." He said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm Hank." And we looked at each other and Boo said, "God dog, man." I said, "How the hell did you do that?"
Say that again.
Yeah. He said, "I'm Hank King." He sounded like John Wayne.
He did.
We thought he was going to come out of there with like some kind of different, a way different voice than that. And he laughed about that because we did aggravate him a little bit. Great player, played good, and a good dude. He did, of course, we were never, nowadays, like I said, everybody's so tender. That deal for that one, and he's told me that before. He said, "The look on your and Boo's face," he said, "I'm telling you, was priceless." I said, "Well, hell, you ought to have been in our." He did. I wish I could have done it, but it sounded like John Wayne that come out of his mouth.
That's why I tagged him to Duke.
The Duke, man. That's right.
But, it was.
Everybody had some kind of that. Everybody had some kind of nickname.
Here's a 6'3".
Such a great Drew.
What's Hank? 6'2", 6'3", Korean dude, really good golfer, and then he comes out with that. You don't expect that. I think he grew up in Georgia.
He could live down here with me. He could live down here in Penn City, Alabama.
And you're like, wait a second. It's
country as hell.
Yes.
He could fit in down here.
Remember he told us.
He couldn't fit in.
You remember he told us. Remember because their family had that restaurant, and he would work there, and he would drink those restaurant Coke cups, those big 32.
Yep.
He drank like 8 of those a day.
He damn sure. Boy, this is so good. I wish. Well, we're gonna have to do this. We just got to get it. Oh, another one just popped in my mind. You remember Michael Pearson played? Him and I
Mm-hmm.
think him and Kuchar was roommates at Georgia Tech. Ain't that where they played at?
Yep. Yep.
And he was another good player. He went on and played on the Asian tour for a while. So much thing is running through the people that not just got to meet, but the competition that you actually, after like 3 weeks, you knew you had to kind of pay a little bit of attention to what's going on and step up and try to get your game up, because it was. And again, man, one of the best summers I've ever had. That regardless, I never made the tour, had a bunch of good times. The golf has been so good to me. I've met so many people doing this, and great people. But so many good players, so many good people. I mean, those evenings we was talking about, sat around by the pool and telling stories were pretty good, and we had some good ones.
I want to touch on, but before you came out there, because you had a very interesting path to the tour.
I did. That's true.
You were a gambler before you came on to play pro golf, weren't you?
And if the IRS is not listening, that's all I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a couple of pro jobs. I mean, I've had jobs, and I take that back. But our pool came easier to me than golf did. And I was 17 is when I actually started trying to play gambling, but play tournament pool. And then when I was 19, a mutual friend run this guy in on me. I was gassing 50 miles from here and I played more bar tables than big tables, but he run a 17-year-old kid in on me, and which was fine, because at the time I didn't think there was nobody that could beat me anyway on either one of them, the 9-footers or the ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the kid was named Johnny Archer, which is legendary. Johnny lived with us for a few years back. He had a few problems, and me and Johnny have been friends ever since then. And we played for 7 or 8 hours, and there was a little bit of money. It wasn't much, but I knew I'd finally run up on somebody that I was like, this kid, I don't know, I'm not sure if I could beat him. And at the time, I didn't think there was anybody that I knew around, in a 100-mile area. So Johnny and I got together and started running around. Now, this was in summers and stuff when we could. And I got to see Johnny, do some stuff. And, of course, he went on. He's like Sergio. He's set more records. For them, the Ryder Cup for the golf is I forget what it's called for the pool. But Johnny's got more points on that deal than anybody. And it probably won't be broke. I mean, he was youngest one to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and just a good dude.
And that was a nine-ball pro tour?
Yeah, I mean, he played everything, but 9-ball was what he won. He's won 2 U.S. Opens, I got out of it that was 19, and when I was about 22, 1 or 2 somewhere in there, it came a time where I didn't need to play pool no more. A lot of things had changed. A lot of things had changed with me. I shouldn't have, but my family now never, my grandparents raised me. So that gambling shit didn't fly. I mean, my granddad, worked 40 something years at one place. He was one of them that didn't graduate, got out of school in the 6th grade because they had to work. And he wasn't a fan. He wasn't a fan of golf. Now he was nicer in the golf deal, but the pool thing to them laying in the, doing that didn't fly. So
even though you were world class at it, they didn't.
Because of how it ended. I'll just be honest. Well, you know what? I don't mind it. Hell, I did it. I deserve it. I ended that on a bad way. I got caught up. You play so many matches, and gambling wise, you might play 8 or 10 hours at a time. And you can't stay up 8 or 10 hours at a time unless somebody helps you stay up 8 or 10 hours at a time. And I found I could stay up 8 or 10 hours, and I'll leave it at that. And that caught up with me, and I knew I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not functioning. I'm not playing good. I was with a I was with Johnny at a place called the Wagon Wheel in Atlanta, and for the Atlanta Open, and I got beat my first two matches. I probably hadn't had too many hours of sleep in a few days, and I called my brother that lived up there and happened to be headed home and to come by and get me. And I went home. I wrapped that up. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I heard they gambled at golf. It was a little not quite that simple, a little more involved in it. And I started, got to school, got back to college, played baseball. My ex-brother-in-law at the time got me out to play golf, and golf just consumed me. I didn't understand how you could hit, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but you couldn't hit a golf ball just sitting still. And long story short, when I found out they gambled at that, because that kind of was 100% of what I had done, I took it up, and I was very fortunate. At my golf course, the golf course I joined, the pro there was same age as myself, a young guy, and his best friend just got a job at another place about 30 minutes. He said, "Look, man, you want to be the cart boy and assistant pro? You can practice all you want." I've been playing golf like 6 months, and I did that, and I quit. I literally have never done. I mean, I went back. I've played some pool, peeling around, but I've never done nothing but that. And I was very fortunate that golf came. It didn't come easy. I was just in a position where I could every afternoon, when I got done putting up carts, I just went and practiced, because and then the gambling part, I wasn't playing golf to play golf. I was playing golf to gamble. And then it flip-flopped around. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is the greatest game ever, because this game's kind of tough. So I went full circle on the golf. Was I appreciate it. I didn't. At the time, I wanted to learn to play so I could go gamble, because, everybody I found out, whether it was $1, $2, or $200 at a golf course, everybody gambled, no matter who it was. And that's pretty much the rule of thumb, true. And anyway, when I did that, I got to playing better. But then when I appreciated golf and tried to get good at it, that even though you got to where you was playing golf not to make the money, you just had to bet the money to play certain people. And as you got better, you went and challenged more people. And in order to play those guys that were gamblers, because the majority of them that gambled that wasn't on the tour was very good, and that's what they did. So you had, in order for you to get in that game, you had to put up some money. It's just, everybody knows that. Anybody that plays golf, they know that. Mm-hmm. And that got me there, and then that got me to where I'm on the phone with you, and I wouldn't swap me. There was a lot of there was some bad ones. Now I'm gonna tell you, it cost a lot of different things. Nothing, I ain't gonna write no books about it, but there's so many good people. Yourself, I've met different people and different things, and but that's just been a blessing by the Lord. I mean, it came to a point where I understood that this was something I wanted to do. I appreciated it more. I took it not for granted, and appreciate it for what it's worth and how I was able to do it, because it came kind of easy. It must not have came easy enough, or we'd be having a different conversation. But I've had a pretty good ride through all this at the end of the day.
Were you all self-taught, or was there somebody that kind of helped you along?
That one guy, the guy that got me the assistant job, was the best player, the best putter still to this day I've ever saw. And Jeff Batson was as good a player as anybody I knew. He couldn't, I don't know how to explain why he couldn't play tournament golf. Now he won every club pro deal that they were everywhere. He again was the best putter I've ever saw, but he just played golf like he never tried to. My swing came kind of easy. His deal was, look, man, look here. This is how you can play golf. Hit it that way, and just putting. If you can learn to putt. So how I think when I putted the ball good, or did for a while, pool, you can relate so much to golf and pool. You have no idea. And it might, if you don't play both the sports, you would not recognize it. But the putting part, is what Pooh helped out so much. And I don't know if that makes any sense. It probably don't.
Yeah, because
But
my dad played. He didn't play any pro pool, but he was
well,
he pretty good pool
but
player.
still
And he
though,
said
yeah,
the
if you
angles.
just
You can see the
yeah, if you
angles.
just knew that's exactly right. I mean, if you just knew the game. So and then that, but back then I could go stand out there and practice. I didn't. I mean, I could just practice till it got. I mean, I loved it. I just could. I got caught up in it so much that it cost me a marriage, and I just all I want to do was all I did was practice. I mean, I just got up and within 3 years of me starting that, I had won. I got good pretty quick. I was very fortunate in
Mm-hmm.
that deal. So, but now looking back at it, my son plays. I wouldn't. I think it's the greatest sport ever. I think you learn more about people and yourself in this game. That's how it should be. It's the greatest game because you know what? If you do something, you call it on yourself. It's a game that you could go play 18 holes and you should be able to tell somebody what you shot without lying, cheating, moving it, or whatever. Now, I know everybody's listening is going, yeah, who does that? But at the end of the day, that's what this game really is all about. And I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with that one, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this game tells you so much about yourself and the people that you'll run up on. And you'll find out there's going to be a bunch you're going to run up on that I have over the years, and I'm sure you have too, businessmen and different people. You was like, damn, this one here's a little shady. You didn't realize he was, but turned out because they felt cheating shit on golf, they're going to get you somewhere or another.
Yeah, absolutely. There was when I was coming up, there was a bunch of business guys that used to always say, and I didn't know what they were saying. I was a kid, 18, 20, and they said, if you ever want to know what type of person somebody is, you take them out to play golf. Because I had asked them why they always bring people that they had that they were going to hire.
Correct.
Right?
I agree with you so much. I think that's 100% correct.
Part of their interview process, and they were all self-made guys, was they would, once they whittled it down, that they would take each candidate out, usually when it was down to the last couple, and they'd play a round of golf. Even if the person didn't play, they said, well, we just want to take you out, and you hang out, and, we're just going to talk and shoot the breeze, and if you want to hit a few, you can hit a few. But they said, you really see somebody's character, integrity, and or lack of.
A good example, Pete. It ain't them got to be if they cheat while you're playing. Just what they say. Well, move it out behind that tree, or do this, or go ahead and that's cool. It's all right to do this or that. And you're going, okay, if it's all right to do this or that, then I've got this guy representing me in a law firm or whatever it may be. If he's going to cut a few corners here, then why the hell would he not cut a few corners somewhere else? I mean, it's still, that's one thing about my son. He wants to get good. He's terrible. And he's going to listen to this tomorrow, and I love to death. He's not that bad, but bless his heart, he thinks he's supposed to get good overnight. And I've told him that he'll go play and send me messages on what he shot. And I'll ask him really what he shot. And it's two different things. And I said, son, you might as well go ahead and keep the score, the real one, because if you don't, you're never going to get any better. I mean, it's okay. Hell, if you shoot 100, shoot 100.
You got to go through that pain to get better.
Don't move it behind a tree or pick up a 5-footer and then go home and tell somebody what you shot, because I got some news for you. That ain't what you shot.
Mm-hmm. When you were getting better and you were playing and doing the golf gambling, did you play in any of the PGA stuff in the what they call Alabama, Mississippi?
I never played the Alabama Open. I never played in any section things to where, because I had never got my PGA, the teaching part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm because I did it like 3 years as an assistant. Then I went and played, and then I came home and did like 2 years as assistant. Then that's when I met you. I went out and played. I'd raised some money, but I was playing good golf, and I'll put up the same amount of money that I asked the other 5 people to put up, but to hope to let them know that I'm as interested in. And look, this is. We all putting up the same thing. I'm not asking for your money and me go play on your money. I want you to know that I think enough of it. I'm going to put up the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it was guys from around here, and they were great to me. And I know that helped, but in a sense, again, I wanted them to understand that. I mean, look, I think enough of me. I'm not asking y'all to put up money and me go hope I do it. Hell, I think enough. This is what I can raise, and what I raised is what I asked them to put in there, and that we all met about it. We signed contracts, went about the thing. Everybody at the end, everybody was tickled. We all still friends. It was a good time, but that, as far as the PGA stuff, no. I mean, our Alabama Open, I let that slip away one time, but other things was most of those then. Before I met you, people don't realize how many big Calcuttas that they are scattered out from Texas to where you live at, from Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, 700,000-800,000. And I know people's listening to this going, he's kidding, but these Calcuttas, man, that you can go to that, and it's that, well, I mean, if anybody's played at a high level, somebody's either invited you to play or said, I'll put up your money, or come here and go with me, or do this. And there was a lot more money in the Calcutta stuff than there was the mini tour stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, matter of fact, I made more money in that. Again, and if the IRS is listening, I didn't really, I'm kidding, but if the deal was the mini tour thing, I just wanted to see if I could beat people that was thinking about turning pro, because it wasn't that I beat everybody. Well, I kind of did. It just, I had run out of gambling around here. For me, had gotten really tough because I was having to match up different. And, it was getting to be, so I was like, hell, what the hell? Might as well put up some money and go try to play and see where this leads to. And the second time I went to Q school, when I didn't make it through second stage, that's another thing. We didn't bring that up earlier. People think that the money qualifiers, to go try you 3 stages of that Q school, especially that last one where you play in 8 days, and before anybody says anything, I know it's 2 days of practice and 6 days of golf. Mm-hmm. They have no idea what that's about, man.
Well, one of the worst rides home I ever had was at the last year I played. Was at first stage. I was leading. I think maybe I dropped to third going into the final day, and I lipped out 7 times and shot 76 and missed. After you go from
brother, I feel you. Or you ain't got a fan but one 5-iron from 175 or something that it ends up in a damn lake, and you don't. I mean, it's just serious in those deals. Now that's life changing. With that being said, okay, when Boo got through, but I caddied for Travis, the guy that if anybody's listening, that I talked into throwing it over his shoulder that he didn't. So Travis, I didn't go that year. Travis went, Boo went, Heath went.
I was there that year because that was the year Bud stepped on his ball.
That's the story that I was about to tell. We're behind him, and Bud was as good a cat, man, as they were. That changed his life, and it was going to change it in another way, because Bud was a little John Daly, and they would have loved him out there, because, boy, when they interviewed him, they'd have got something, and you know that.
He was an entertainer. He had that entertainment quality.
Calls a penalty on himself, gets it up and down, which would have been for birdie, turns out to par, pars the last hole, and misses it by a shot. And I remember him coming out of the scoring deal after I found out what was on there. I was up there waiting on him, and he just looked through you like he just was, like he wasn't there, like nothing. He couldn't talk. So we're all staying pretty much at the same thing. We get with him later that night, and he literally is, Pete, it's like he's somewhere else. I mean, and people don't understand. Of course, he got full status on the Nike or whatever the hell it was then, but that one shot was the difference. First of all, it's the difference in getting 25 or 35,000 for playing somebody's clubs or something other, as opposed to 250 or 300 if you're on the tour, which makes a world of difference. But you're on TV now.
And all you got to do is 1 week you play good out there.
And did you ever know Big Daddy Styles Mitchell? You ever run across
No,
him?
I know who he is, but I never We never
Big and
sat down at the same table or
he,
anything like that.
that was Styles was he had a tough time. We were the same age, and he went to sleep one night and didn't wake up when we was 42. But Styles was he was perfect for the tour. Good looking, 6'4",
big boy,
big dude. I mean, but this personality, he was the greatest one-liners of all time. Matter of fact, he's the one that you can YouTube it. He made like a 40-footer on one of these deals that when it was whatever it was back in the day. And the guy on the camera asked him something about it. He said, well, let me tell you something, son. He said, some people come to see the show and some people bring the show with them. And that stuck forever. And Big Daddy, he had some tough times, man, at the end. And it, like I said, he went to sleep one night and I had a heart attack, like maybe it was his size or whatever. But he was perfect for the tour. But getting back to Bud, and Bud's never been the same. I mean, I talk to him all the time, and he plays golf around there, club championship, but it hurt him. He had that next year, even though he was fully exempt, it was life changing, stepping on a ball by accident, and probably could have not have said nothing and got away with it. When I say that ain't what I'm saying doing. He did what you're supposed to do. Caught it on himself, got it up and down after he did what he had to do, and which would have been for a birdie, and it turned out to be a par, and that was the difference in the one shot that got him. One shot. People don't understand that. I mean, one shot. That was it, man.
After 6 rounds, because I missed
Big.
that year. I was caddying for Todd Behringer because Todd, we were neighbors and we're like brothers still to this day, and I had him on the show, but he had missed his nationwide card by like $1,200. He came in 11th place that year on the top. Remember the top 10.
Yeah, yes.
And there was, I remember Jack was caddying for Boo because Boo got through. But
that's exactly who.
And Pat Perez was a medalist. And the crazy thing was because Todd and Pat were pretty good buddies on the buy.com or back then.
Yeah.
And then in the practice rounds, because they played together in all the practice rounds, and Pat's brother Mike was playing. He had got the finals, and Perez was struggling, man. He was hitting it crooked in the practice rounds, and I don't think Behringer missed a shot. And come the first day, Perez comes in with 66, and I think Todd shot 74 or something, and Perez was just off to the – I think he shot 31 under that week, and the rest was history.
And that's exactly how when he is a different bird. I always liked him because he was arrogant as hell and didn't mind saying it, and still don't. I'm pretty sure I doubt he's changed that. But when he got going, he wasn't afraid to go low. And that's another thing people don't understand. A lot of people try to hang on to get around going, and but the ones they might shoot a 75 or 76 here, but them same people are the ones that can shoot 61, 62. Because they're not afraid to make a bogey.
Right.
And that's a whole nother thing of golf.
But with all that stuff going on at that Q school, it was Bud's story was one of the big ones that everybody was sad for him.
I mean, and the Nike guy, who was the Nike guy then, the rep? He had tried to play.
Oh,
but he loved Bud.
He died. He had a heart attack.
He did?
Dennis Zinkon.
That's it.
Because he and I played in the John Deere Monday in Des Moines, or wherever it is out there, Moline. I remember him. Very good guy. How do I remember these names? I have no idea.
How about, all right, look here. We got to get off this sad shit and get something else. Look, I'm getting some funny looks from the rest of the family. How about in a few week or two or 3 or 3 months or a year or two, which we ain't gonna wait that long. I done got your phone number now, but let me round up some of this crew, and we'll do 4 at a time if we have to.
All right.
The worst, I want Jake in there no matter what, because Lord, he is the king of the one-liners.
He must have had 40 hats in the back of his car. Remember that?
Every one of them. He still. Do you ever see him on Facebook?
Oh,
Got
he
that little
got
boy. He as cute as that little boy, as cute as he can be. Got him a flat bill on everywhere you see him.
And he must have
And
had
shoes.
50
I
pairs of
thought I
shoes.
kept more shoes than anybody. Jake got them all colors. He ain't gonna wear a regular pair. It's gonna be glow in the dark or some other shit.
All right, hey, before your family gets mad at you, let's do a rapid fire. I always do emergency 9. I call
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right, so Ryder Cup just happened. If you were on the Ryder Cup and they had a walk-up song for you to the first tee, what would it be?
My goodness gracious. No, damn, you caught me in my bridge. Can I come back to that like in Family Feud?
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, because you actually, usually I don't get caught off guard in talking, you know that, but you actually, and if it pops in my head in the next question or two, I'll just say it.
We'll do like that girl at the White House does. We'll circle back.
What now?
We'll circle back like that girl in the White House.
That's true. Jen
Psaki, yes. We'll circle back. All right, this next one. What do you look forward to more, the Ryder Cup or the Masters?
The Masters, man. And not that it means more, it's just the Masters. I mean, that's the two without a doubt. If you could play in both of them, they would be hard to, I think, to the Ryder Cup. No, I'll take it back. Ryder Cup. No, hands down. I don't know what I was thinking. Ryder Cup.
All right. I think that's another one. You could argue both sides and not be wrong. Let's see. Keep going. If you could have anybody swing in the world, who would it be?
Well, look, man, I've been accused of being, if I ever went gay, this is who I'd go, is Fred Couples. Not that I have a damn guy crush on him, but I don't need to be around him. And look, my wife has aggravated the shit out of me about it, and everybody knows me. Hell, back then, I mean, I had every Ashworth thing you ever wore every visor ever wore.
That's right. You did used to wear all that Ashworth. I remember.
Look, I played 3 years like shit because I tried to mock his swing and should have just went back to a regular swing. So I'm Freddie, man. I mean, Freddie Boom Boom. I mean, damn.
He's as cool as they come, isn't he?
Well, what those saying's right. You know, the guys want to be him and the girls want to be with him.
Did you ever meet him when you were out there with Boo? Did you ever get
Nope. But I'm gonna tell you what Boo pulled on me, and that hurt my feelings. Boo got paired with him one time. So Boo calls me and he says, I got Freddie's autograph for you on a yardage book. Boo, I have hands down the worst handwriting of anybody. Like they got to decipher my shit if somebody had to look at it. Well, Boo, other than Boo. So Boo, I finally see him and he throws me this thing and it says, to my boy Champ. I said, seriously, I knew no way. Boo had done whatever the hell. He'd looked at some of Freddie's shit awful. And I said, I appreciate the gesture and I'm going to keep it. And I still got it. But I said, they ain't no way in hell. And he didn't, bless his heart. He had me fired up thinking he told me, he said, I told him, I got a buddy of mine, walks like he, acts like he, all that whole deal. Yeah, and then I got that damn yardage book and it was terrible. That's the truth. That ain't no joke.
Oh, let's see. If you had to play one course forever, what would it be?
Augusta. For me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
have you played there?
No, Lord, no. I have got to go.
You mean Boo got in the Masters, and when he go up play practice round earlier, so you didn't take it?
No. I was there. Oh no, I got I got to do it upright like that. Now I stayed with him up there. He called me on Sunday. The family one coming in Wednesday, so I got to go. Yeah, no, but I walked it as close as you could get out. I did everything but Fairleigh one out there. But no, that one is just. It's the Masters. I mean, there's so many, Pebble Beach. Yeah, that's great. But still, I don't know. There's something when they play that music and all that shit and Jim Nantz doing his thing. I mean, it's the Masters, man.
Yeah.
And then the greatest one is on like 17 when the bear makes that one and what's his name hollers, yes, sir.
Oh,
I start crying every year on that shit.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Because I know you got to go. I don't want your wife mad at me.
Hold on. Now you done found something. I'll do these. I'll tell them I'll be with them in a little while. I'll do all this.
All right, let's see. Caddyshack, Tin Cup, or Happy Gilmore?
10 cup, 10 cup. Ain't no thing good enough for that. 'Cause I was borderline 10 cup. So.
All right. And would you rather live 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future?
Damn. Probably 100 years in the past, my man, because it seemed like things were so much simpler. Maybe they wasn't. It just seems like, and it seems like the future ain't gonna be 100 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't getting religious on nobody, but I don't think nobody's gonna be here in 100 years. So I'm going backwards.
All right. Now that you got a new phone, and it ain't a flip phone.
Okay, start over. How did you got me? So now that I got a new phone,
now that you got a new phone, what's the most used app on that phone?
Man, I gotta answer this. All right. Let's see. My lab's in here looking at me. I guess Facebook. I can't help it. So Facebook. I don't do that. I don't do Twitter or Instagram, and I don't do Facebook that much because I'm in Facebook jail most of the time, and you can vouch for that. I mean, that's how we kind of reconnected. Every time I'd get out, you'd be like, "Damn, champ, not again." So yeah, so Facebook.
May parole again.
Yeah.
If you could buy stock in any golfer for over the next 3 years, who would it be?
That the cat that just won the whole thing, Patrick. What's his name?
Rogers? Not Rogers. Patrick Cantley.
Patrick Cantley. One quick story. I'm caddying for Boo at that tournament when he turned pro. It was Tiger's tournament up there, and Tiger wasn't there because he was sick. And this kid turns pro. You know, he's the best amateur in the world at that time. And he comes and look, he was skinny. He don't look nothing like he looks like he did, but I mean, he looked like he was like 12. And we go out there and Boo shoots. We missed a cut by 1 or 2. No, it ain't. No, I'm lying. It's where Bubba has won and George Spieth hold it out of the damn.
It used to be the BC Open. Now I can't remember what the name is.
Yeah, where Jordan holds it out of the bunker. But okay. So it's that one. Anyway, the kid goes out there and shoots like 9 or 10 under, 8 or 9. I mean, like he finishes in the top 10. And I'm watching him hit balls. He's down there beside us. And I'm going, damn, now he's hitting it straight. It ain't head high, but he's doing it. But I've thought about that since then because I never thought about it then. But how he's come on, and it's damn sure that was in 2008 or 9. So I keep forgetting how long these kids have been they've been out there.
Yeah, he broke his back in that car accident.
That and how, okay. I guess I can't do just him because it seems like that. Well, I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, he just seems he seems solid without just getting anybody like he can do his own work. I mean, but I mean, damn, yeah, but Brooks, you know, I'm going with him. I'm sticking with it.
All right. Now we're going to go back. The Ryder Cup walk-up song.
Man.
You can pick any song you want.
Let me clear my throat. And I think that was DJ, what's his name? And it's one of the craziest ones. And I've heard it with Boo. Because, you know, then Boo had the rapping shit of all times. I mean, now I grew up in Raglan. It was either Raglan, we got one red light, and it flashed. It never worked. It just flashed. And I'm not joking. I graduated. The joke here, I'm still the greatest player that's ever come out of Raglan because I'm the only player that's ever come out of Raglan. Nobody's ever played golf from there. They probably would make fun of me if I showed back up, but I graduated with 34 people. That is no joke. And now they was actually 68. It was you had an A and a B, so 68 maximum. But that we either listened to it was more Hank Williams. I grew up when my grandparents were the Temptations, the Drifters, that kind of stuff, or the George Jones, Conway Twitty. But then there was a few of us that would go play. Now we didn't want nobody to know this. Like what's his name? The Funky Cole Medina, shit like that. But nobody could know it. It'd be like 4 of us because if they heard that, it'd be like, you know, we was turncoats or something. So But that I would let me clear my throat. And if anybody's listening, I ought to pull it up because it'll still get me going right now. Hell, it's got me moving around now while I'm thinking about it.
Tone Loc, Funky Cold Medina.
That one, but let me clear my throat, and let me clear. Hey, Pete, find it, Google, YouTube it after a while. Let me clear my throat, and you'll laugh your butt off because you're going to see me going. You'll see me in your mind after all these years, and you're going to go, boy, now that fits perfect. Let me clear my throat.
All right, we'll go with that one. And then the last one, we kind of touched on it. The greatest of all time, in your opinion. Golfer.
Man, I mean, they but two. I mean, but the thing is, damn. I mean, Tiger. I've never saw anybody after playing golf professionally that played golf like him. And I know Jack. They've all won, 60 plus tournaments. I get that. I mean, that right there alone, Tiger, I think, won all these tournaments in great competition. But you go look at Tiger, and I'm going to give you a good example. And there's people that's not going to like this. I'm tired of hearing about LeBron. LeBron can't deal with Kobe and Michael. And I'm a Larry Bird. I'm the biggest Larry Bird fan of all times. And Larry Bird would be one of my 5 because he might be slow and all that shit. But when the 4 or 5 best black players of all times say he's one of their best, they go with that. But my point is Tiger's just, these things, I'm sorry, Jack ain't hitting them 244 irons and that shit. I mean, they, again, what we said earlier goes back to different eras, so it's kind of hard to compare. But no, Tiger. I don't know why it took that long, Tiger, now that I think about it.
Because we've been talking a long time, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to call you tomorrow. We're going to schedule another one because we got a number more stories that you got to tell.
I double dog dare you. And look here, I'm going to write down some phone numbers in case I lose my phone again. I'm just kidding. My wife's shaking her head over. Pete, man, I can't thank you enough for letting me do this. This has been a blast. I greatly appreciate it.
We're going to do a lot more.
Brother, Lee, I greatly appreciate it. Hope the family's doing good, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
Thanks, bud.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed it, you can find more information on today's episode and other topics at golf360.blog. There you'll find the show notes and links related to this episode, as well as any other episode that we've done so far to date. If you're interested in improving your game and would like to learn more from yours truly by taking a private lesson, a half-day or multi-day school, club or putter fitting, you can reach me through the blog site or by email, pete@golf360.blog. So some of you may be asking, what is the golf paradigm? All you have to do is click on the homepage while on my blog site to discover how you can start playing better than you ever thought possible. Or you can simply sign up, again, on the blog page for my instructional videos where I give regular tips on all areas of the game to include the swing, club design and fitting, health, fitness and nutrition, the mental aspects, and equally as important, the integration of all those things together. I'm also on social media, and you can find me at The Golf Paradigm. That's PARADIGM, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, also under the same name, The Golf Paradigm. Facebook is usually the best way to reach me for questions and or comments, and I look forward to hearing what all of you have to say. This podcast is brought to you in part by Old South Golf Links. A short ride across a bridge from Hilton Head Island is one of the area's finest golf courses and a hidden treasure. Set up on towering pines and ancient oaks with sweeping marsh vistas, truly makes Old South Golf Links a one-of-a-kind golfing experience. The Clyde Johnson design was named one of the top 10 new public courses when it opened, and it also takes full advantage of the natural beauty of the Low Country. Old South is a fun and unique challenge for golfers of every skill level and a favorite of both locals and visitors. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular, you'll be treated and feel like family. From the bag drop to check-in at the fully stocked pro shop with both men's and women's apparel, to breakfast or lunch before or after your round, the staff is always ready and willing to help. Experience for yourself why Old South is one of the premier golf courses in the Hilton Head area and why it will quickly become a favorite of yours too. Visit them in person or online at www.oldsouthgolf.com, or to make it tee time, simply call the Pro Shop at 843-785-5353.